या 1 मिनट। नमस्कार, केएमसी गुजरात पर स्वाध्याय सीरीज में आप सभी का स्वागत है। हम यहाँ पर पढ़ रहे हैं डॉक्टर ब्रायन वाइस की 7वीं बुक थ्रू टाइम इनटू हीलिंग। डॉक्टर ब्रायन वाइस पास्ट लाइफ रिग्रेशन थेरेपिस्ट के रूप में, स्पिरिचुअल साइकोथेरेपिस्ट के रूप में पूरी दुनिया में पॉपुलर है, रिस्पेक्टेड है। बहुत गहराई से हजारों केस स्टडीज पर काम किया। उनकी थ्रू टाइम टू हीलिंग बुक जो है वो सबसे अधिक साइंटिफिक है। मतलब उसमें मेडिकल केसेस जो हीलिंग के पाए हैं उस पर उन्होंने सबसे ज्यादा लिखा है, तो वो मेरी सबसे फेवरेट बुक है। अगर डॉक्टर ब्रायन वाइस की 8 किताब में हमें कोई बुक चूज करनी हो तो हमें थ्रू टाइम टू हीलिंग बुक चूज करनी चाहिए। थ्रू टाइम टू हीलिंग बुक का हिंदी अनुवाद भी उपलब्ध है। हिंदी भी उसका थ्रू टाइम टू हीलिंग बुक के नाम से है। इसका एक एक चैप्टर हम एक एक दिन देख रहे हैं। आज चैप्टर 9 है जिसका नाम है ओपनिंग द माइंड टू द मिस्टिकल एक्सपीरियंस। और इस चैप्टर को करने के लिए हमारे साथ जुड़ रही हैं डॉक्टर चंदना। स्वागत है डॉक्टर चंदना। डॉक्टर चंदना बैंगलोर से हैं और वो कार्डियक सर्जन है, कार्डियोथोरेसिक सर्जन। और हमारे साथ पहले भी उन्होंने स्वाध्याय किया है। एक सर्जन समय निकालकर स्वाध्याय करने आए तो हमारे लिए ये बहुत फॉर्चुनेट बात है। व्यस्त समय में एक तो पढ़ना और फिर सिर्फ अपना पढ़ना एक अलग बात होता है, बोलने के लिए पढ़ना थोड़ा एक अलग ढंग से पढ़ना होता है। तो वी आर थैंकफुल टू डॉक्टर चंदना फॉर हर टाइम। लेट्स बिगिन।
Good evening, everyone, and namaste. Thanks, Dr. Ranjan, for giving me this opportunity. I have, as you said, like there have been many instances where I have come up and shared my thoughts, and this has been a wonderful platform because so many times, like whatever we have learned, it's only when we share with others that we get clarity. One thing. Second thing is we learn new things, we share new things. So that is how the treasure of knowledge keeps building. So I think the purpose of this group where you study each book is so that we can collect all thoughts together and arrive at something very fruitful, something meaningful for all our lives, so that we can implement them in our lives. So I think with that, let me start. So would like to share my screen. So as we all know, today's topic or today's chapter that we are going to study about is opening the mind to the power of mystical experiences. So mystery and actually mystical, there are many mystics, as Dr. Ranjan told, and mystical experiences are definitely way commoner than what we give them credit for. तो हम सोचते हैं कि मिस्टिकल एक्सपीरियंस इन लोगों में होते हैं जो बहुत सारे मेडिटेशन करते हैं। ऐसा नहीं है। लाइक एवरीबडी कैन बी इंट्यूटिव। इट्स जस्ट दैट वी नीड टू पे अटेंशन टू दैट इंट्यूटिव हिट्स दैट वी गेट. So the gut feelings that we feel, or sometimes you get some image, some small message, or some coincidences which are actually not coincidences. So all these kind of things, or all these experiences can be called as mystical experiences. So it's like unless we open up our mind to these mystical faculties, we would never be able to appreciate them. And if we don't appreciate them, we will not be aware of them, neither will we recognize them when they happen. And only when we keep recognizing these mystical experiences happening, we will these experiences will become much more commoner in our lives. So initially when I started meditation, it was like that. It was initially very small intuitive thoughts or intuitive things which used to come to my mind. But as you keep meditating, as you keep working on yourself, and as you keep learning about these kind of things, it becomes a very common phenomena. So then you'll start realizing, oh, it's something which it is there easy to very easy to access for all of us. It's not just one person, or and not in the very few people, not how it was considered rare in the previous days. No, it's just that it's very common. So this chapter is all about like how being open to these mystical experiences lead few case studies that are quoted in this particular chapter. It is like an example. Dr. Brian Weiss, when he started documenting all these things, he has documented them chapter wise, and he has done a tremendously good job of segregating them into different topics. So let's see what he wants to say in this chapter. So this chapter begins with his own experience. So he was once he was a guest on a radio talk show in Cleveland, and there were a lot of people calling up and wanting to share their experiences and finding out sharing their experiences, and also wanting to listen to his side of interpretations. So during this time, when he was giving a talk on hypnosis and past life regression, there were a lot of people who complimented him on his work, and there were some people who didn't agree with it. But there was one particular incident of a lady who called him up and told him very in a firm voice that, don't you know that all this is a sin? So he was surprised. I mean, he was taken aback. He was like, a medical person, when confronted with such a thing, it is really hard. We do have where you'll have to deal with their faiths, with their, to overcome their belief. So similar thing happened to Dr. Brian Weiss. So he tried telling her, why should that be a sin? So why is it a sin? So she says, no, it is a sin, and Jesus said it's sinful because devils can enter your body during hypnosis. So Dr. Brian Weiss was very surprised, and he also, he justified himself, saying that, see, during the era of Jesus Christ, this word hypnosis didn't exist at all, and also it wasn't used as a therapeutic tool till the 18th century. So when he put forth this argument, so and also he told that there are a lot of people like nuns, priests, and employees of the church who will come to us for hypnosis, and it is working. It is working tremendously, and it is showing results. So he tried to explain to her in a very polite way. But then, the woman was silent, and then she had no answer, because, like her very belief is like being questioned. And then she again said, I don't know about Miami, where you stay, but it's a sin in Cleveland. So, then people started laughing in the radio talk show, of course, like, taking care not to offend the person who had called up. But this does throw up a very interesting concept. It's like, see how much, whatever concepts or whatever belief that people have, once suddenly they're confronted with it, with something which is totally contradictory, they do become defensive, and that possibly comes up in these kind of situations. So why this anger? What causes a person to feel this very defensive? So one thing possibly is that she was afraid, because that's a new idea. It's a very new thought. So it kind of threatened her concept or her belief system, and it challenged her reality and her understanding of the world. And most importantly, it possibly even scared her, because if this also has been my experience, where I have had friends who are into psychiatry, and when we talk, do you even advise hypnosis, or do you practice hypnotherapy? I mean, they do have this thing like, not much. Some people say that they are not interested. There are psychiatrists who are really interested and who want to take this thing forward, but there are few more people who are very orthodox and typical orthodox in the sense conventional in their treatment approach, and don't want to venture into these aspects. So for those people, it is like something scary. And whenever I have spoken about this topic to other friends, there are few of them who have felt scared about it, who have felt, if I talk about past life regression or such topics, they have told that, like they feel scared about these kind of experiences. What if you can't, come back to the present, and all such doubts will be there. So similarly, to talk more about these kind of contradictory thoughts and how people take a long time to, assimilate the new ideas and assimilate new concepts, and to accept and even to follow it. So he quotes pages from history. Like, so what happened initially was, a lot of people believed that the earth was the center, and the moon and the sun were revolving around it. So this concept was there even till 1472, when Nicholas Copernicus was the first person who actually gave heliocentric model. But of course, I would also like to tell here that it was not just Nicholas Copernicus. It was Aryabhatta way back, possibly even 2000 years back, who actually gave the heliocentric theory. So he said the sun is the center of our universe, and the planets revolve around it. So, but then, we have not, somehow it didn't get that popular, and it wasn't like, the Eurocentric historians never gave credit for Aryabhatta. So whatever has been documented so far is that Nicholas Copernicus in 1472 was the first person to talk about this correct concept of heliocentric concept. So saying that sun is the center of the universe. So then in 1633, Galileo also started telling the same thing. So when Nicholas Copernicus gave that, and then, people didn't accept it. Same thing happened with Galileo. So he also proposed the heliocentric theory, saying that sun is the center and earth revolves. So the church at that time didn't believe it, and it was totally like, it's a blasphemy. That's exactly how they would treat it. They would be like, he's talking all nonsense, and, he should be condemned for it. And so there was an inquisition, like, the Roman Inquisition, which said, which gave this verdict that, this guy should be locked in, he should be locked up in a tower, and he should not be released until he, disagrees with whatever he has come up. So he was under house arrest for many years, and during this time he also wrote some 2 books on all these scientific things. So he was a brilliant math professor, and imagine at that point of time he was a math professor, but at the age of 25. So the church condemned him and didn't allow him to put forth his theory. And from the tower, locked up tower, they didn't release him until he said, whatever he told was not right, and until he could say that, he was not released from it. So these are the 3 people, important people in the whatever has been historically documented. So this is Nicholas Copernicus, and this is Galileo, and then came Isaac Newton. So on the day of death of Galileo, Isaac Newton was born, and then he developed the same theory of, a heliocentric theory. Then his work was accepted, and then the humanity started accepting totally in the whole world. They started accepting that yes, we live in a heliocentric universe. And after all this time, then the church came forth and said, yes, Galileo's work was the perfect one, and then they praised him. So, after so many years of torture and all that, so finally the heliocentric theory came up. So imagine, like, this has taken from 1472 to Newton's time. That is like almost 200 years. 200 years it took people to understand, despite the scientific data, despite the use of a telescope by Galileo, despite the documentation, accurate calculations, everything which was done. Despite that, 200 years were it just passed by without without people accepting this heliocentric theory. But then today every school child reads about it, and Galileo, because he was a very staunch believer in his own principles and in his own calculations, he demonstrated that only when we believe in what our core beliefs are, I mean, we have to stand by those beliefs, only then we can, like, contribute in a different way, or in a better way to the world we live in. So finally his work changed the way we perceived reality. So so for many of us, regression experience will include the realization, like, what happens is that there are a lot of people who don't believe in the concept of reincarnation, who don't believe in past lives or the future lives. So for such people, when somebody talks to them about past life regression, hypnosis, it becomes like very difficult to digest, very difficult to assimilate, and sometimes even scary to go through it, or to use it as a tool, or to use it as a therapy. So, and people can have this kind of approach to anything. It need not just be PLR, it can be to any religious teaching, it can be to any scientific idea, to anything which is totally contrary to what they believe. So this has been happening through the centuries, through the throughout in the history. So until somebody comes and tells that, okay, this is not the way it works, and there is a totally different way, or a newer way, or a new approach, new perspective. So until then, people believe in something, and they try to hold on to that belief. So if you go and tell people that, there's a lot of science behind something like pranayam or some yoga, they may not easily accept it. So until, like, there are a lot of studies which prove and which show and demonstrate it, people will take time to accept and assimilate it. So when these kind of truths totally shake their core beliefs, people will definitely reject these kind of teachings. So how do these wrong or limiting beliefs, I wouldn't say wrong, I think the better word is to say a limiting belief. So where does this limiting belief come from? Most often it comes during childhood, when whatever we have been taught by parents, by teachers, by what we learn from our neighbors, from our friends. So that's when we develop all these limiting beliefs. Like, the person who told you might be wrong, or or you might have accepted something which was told in a different way, but you accepted it in a different way. So the fault could also be with us. Like, we might have misconstrued the whole thing, and that kind of stores in our memory as one particular thought, or one particular idea. So that also can be a reason. And off late, I think I would say the media, TV, news channels, they also like put forth a lot of limiting beliefs. So that's how. And the truth doesn't change because of all these limiting beliefs, because it is absolute and it is a constant thing. So this is what Dr. Brian Weiss says, and I think it's very, very true. So as in any chapter, Dr. Brian Weiss has documented few case studies in this chapter also. So he talks about 3 case studies, and the 4th case study is his own experience. So in the case study 1, we see that he talks about Anita, a 42-year-old housewife, and a strong Italian Catholic lady. So she comes to Dr. Brian Weiss, and she would be going through a lot of depression, taking medication for the same thing, and had all the florid symptoms of depression, like dysphoric moods, disorders, sleep disorders, then the loneliness, helplessness, all that what people feel. So she also was feeling all that. So another thing is, like, she was she felt that her religious background was dictating so much of her lifestyle, and it was like kind of, you know, she was caught up with so many rituals and those beliefs which were like not allowing her to expand the horizon of her mind or her life. So another important thing was that her relationship with her father also was another thing which was a cause for her depression. Why? Because she felt her dad was very authoritative, and she could not challenge him, and she felt that, you know, there was that conflict, thinking that, you know, he is my father, how can I challenge him, how can I go against him, I have to just follow whatever he says. You know, she was caught up with that. So this, all these things, like, you know, at one point caused severe depression in her. So when she came to Dr. Branwis, and also she believed in reincarnation. So that is the one thing which kind of attracted her to come for therapy with Dr. Branwis. But, you know, her Catholic background didn't allow her to believe in it. So that again created a lot of friction in her thought processes. So when there are two contradictory thoughts entering our mind, definitely there is a lot of turbulence, and you don't know which one is the right thing, which one is the wrong thing. Am I doing the right thing by going to this kind of a psychiatrist? So obviously she would have gone through so much of turmoil in her own head. So and when she went through, I mean, when she underwent hypnosis, she didn't go to a past life, and instead she went to a place, something like a garden, which was filled with a lot of purple and golden lights, and had many wise guides. So from that place, she began to teach profound truths. So about love and wisdom. So it always, past life regression or a hypnosis need not take you to past life. I think most often it leads us to a place which will give us the right answers that we are looking for that point of time. So these are the messages that she got. That when you want to comfort someone, don't listen to words. The words may be misleading or wrong. Go straight to their heart, straight to their soul. Their words may be pushing you away, but they still need comforting. So this was one pearl of wisdom, I would say. And another pearl is that an alignment of love from the mind to love from the heart, then we are in harmony and in balance. So being aligned in love is what is important, is what was a message for her. So a person who was not into any philosophical study, when she comes up with such a message, so obviously Dr. Branwis also felt nice that, you know, something, some important message like this, she could access it through her own hypnotic session. So after this, every PLR session, as I said, need not go to some traumatic incident or anything. Sometimes it can be a very calming, very soothing, very some thought or some nice message, which will really uplift the person. And from there, the healing very easily begins. So same thing happened to this lady, and there were interesting changes. So over the next few days, the powerlessness that she was feeling diminished, and she felt that inner strength, what she could not access it by herself. Through this hypnosis, she could access it. Then depression gradually went away, and now that she had received her own experience of truth, she felt, she had access to something divine. So obviously, then you don't have to rely on what your religious texts, like, you know, very sometimes very harshly tell you to do, the do's and don'ts. So that was one of the thing, and she didn't feel oppressed by it. And also another thing that happened is that she could relate to her father in a different way. So she could understand his fears, his limitations, and she could connect to him like as if they are equals, and she could even forgive him for his authoritative attitude. And over the next few weeks, she also developed or noticed that she had healing abilities. And from there, she could, she went on to a different path, because she started searching books on these healing modalities, started meeting people who are into healing. So her onward spiritual journey took off from these incidents. Um, Even for her children, whenever they had fever, she would try to heal them, and that is where she discovered her healing ability. So the next case study is about a boy who had a congenital heart defect. So he underwent open heart surgeries at some 3 heart surgeries, and this generally happens in case of congenital, kids who are having heart diseases. We do have kids coming for surgeries multiple times. So generally, those kind of kids don't do well, they don't survive long, and most of these surgeries are just palliative. They are not curative, meaning to say that only for the time being they will relieve the patient of the symptoms, but it may not increase his or her longevity or survival. So same thing, like his cardiac surgeons also would have felt the same way. They didn't expect him to survive. So when this child was 8 years old, he told his mother that, when he was unconscious after the surgeries, he was visited by 8 Chinese guys who conveyed information about his recovery to him. So he was assured by these 8 Chinese guys who said, you don't have to worry, and things will be taken care of. And he noticed that one of the Chinese man had a sword which he was always twirling around, and this man frequently cut off his beard and the beard would grow back. So for the boy, all these things, they appeared like small details, and the mother was like, what is my boy talking about? He's like, he underwent heart surgery, and what has happened to his mind? So then the boy claimed that he was still being visited by these 8 Chinese guys who keep providing the information. So then the mother searched about who are all these 8 Chinese guys, and what is their role, and what are they? Who are they actually? So then she found that they were the 8 Chinese men of immortality, very much part of the Taoism, and then she could relate. Then she could understand that they were really some divine beings who are, like, helping her son to get better. So I think, like, if his mother had been a closed-minded person who was not ready to find out, or who was not ready to acknowledge, possibly should have thought it's because of some psychosis this child has developed, or something has happened, some psychiatric aberration. That's exactly how they would have concluded, or that is the importance of being open to any kind of experience that happens, or anything. I'm not saying that you need to believe that everything is a mystical experience, but we have to use logical reasoning, at the same time be open to it. So then the next case study that Dr. Brian Weiss describes is about a woman named Beth. So she was in her early 50s. She ran a real estate business, and a business out of her home. So she had been separated from her husband, who was extremely controlling, and at the same time, she was going through her own phases of depression, and because, like, now, she was separated from the husband, she started investing all her emotions in her adult children. So she started taking their careers like as if it's her own career, looking at their relationship problems as her own relationship problems. So there was a lot of emotional baggage that she was carrying. So she was totally involved, and she could not get out of it, and that kind of became a vicious cycle. And the trauma of separation from her husband added to it. So everything totally went haywire. I mean, totally took her into that phase of depression. So, and also this happened because she wanted to compensate for her husband's aloofness. Like, her husband was not showing any interest in children, or their careers, or their lives. So obviously she thought that, she has to take care of, play the role of both the mother and the father. And that was telling so much on her mental health, her physical health. And she was also sad, and obviously depressed also. So again, in this case study, during hypnosis, she didn't go into any past life. She found herself in a magical garden. So with a lot of lawns and hillsides, and with a lot of buildings. So when she went through a session with Dr. Branvis, and she saw that in front of her there was a beautiful building, which had a lot of marble architecture, and also at this point there was a very wise guide wearing a white robe who joined her. So that was also comforting to have some guide or some divine being in such places. So together they ascended the staircase, and she felt that she has already visited this place, or that feeling of, I know this place, this is a familiar place, that kind of a sensation she had. So once inside this, she discovered that this was like a huge library and had many rooms. Then finally, she went and found a book which had her name. So she opened to a page, and that actually described the circumstance of her current lifetime. So she started reading the book slowly, and she could read her past lives also. And she didn't share all this knowledge with Dr. Weiss, and he also respected it. Like, every time a person need not tell everything to the psychiatrist, or there are some experiences which they feel that, maybe they want to keep it to themselves. So with due respects, Dr. Branvis also allowed her to do the same thing. And as she started reading more and more of that book, in very loving tones, her guide told not to read any further pages, because possibly that was all about her future lifetimes, and it was not the right time to know. So also during this time, she found out what was her soul name. And after 1 hour visit, she reluctantly came back. So, what Dr. Branvis describes is that this is possibly a place where the souls rest, reflect between one lifetime to another. So when the crucial decision is being made about what the lessons of this lifetime were, or what could have been done better, there is no judgment during this time, of course. So this is what is described in great detail by two authors, Joel Witten and Joe Fisher, in their respective books. So during this time, in these kind of places, usually there will be guides. And as we have seen in many PLR sessions or PLR therapies, most of the people describe that they are accompanied by guides during this time, who will help them to review the lifetime. That is, they don't criticize, but they will help them take a better decision or a better approach to the next birth that they have to choose. So after going to a place like this, there was this had a good or positive effect on Beth. So she felt more peaceful and also powerful, because now she could access something within her, and it kind of reassured her, made her feel strong, made her feel comfortable, and her perception about past lives and her own potential, her ability to experience joy, all these things expanded dramatically. So these kind of things will happen even during meditations, even during past life sessions or hypnosis. So I think this is a very important change, or that is how the dramatic shift happens from depression to something very positive. So that from there on, the person starts dealing with life with a totally different attitude. So also at the end of this case study, very important points are enumerated by Dr. Branvis. So he says that it is true that overcoming obstacles and difficulties will accelerate spiritual progress. And because he has seen series of case studies, so obviously it is very easy for him to logically conclude this. that, these kind of things will give those positive leaps, or there will be a leap of learning every time that a person experiences difficulty and overcomes that. So according to him, the most serious difficulties are the psychiatric illness or the physical disabilities, which we all agree. And he also says that most often these are signs of life progress and not regress. So it's not like what we believe that, maybe we have done something bad and, something bad has happened to us. It's not like that. I think it's more like these are the lessons in compassion, lessons in receiving. So many times we are so much of givers that sometimes we forget to receive. So these kind of difficulties or these kind of difficult phases will also help us to learn to receive help, to receive advice, to receive knowledge, to receive wisdom from people around, so that during those times we also, like, it is a balance. You can't always keep giving. You also have to learn to receive. So that balance should not be tilted in either directions. And in his opinion, the strongest of the souls are the ones who shoulder these burdens, because they provide you leaps of growth. So whatever growth has to happen in one lifetime, if the difficulties are too many, or if the challenges are too many, definitely that person would have tremendously grown spiritually from what maybe, like, a combination of some 2-3 lifetimes or something like that. So this is what even I believe, like, most often if you see people with a lot of challenges, possibly, there is a leap of growth, spiritual growth, which would be happening. So he also says a lifetime can be compared to that of a year at school. Then these difficult lifetimes can be like a year in a graduate school. So the smooth lives, or there are people, so we always compare and say, they are having such a nice life, they are having a smooth life. Why is my life so difficult? Why is my life so why am I having so many difficulties? So possibly it is because, like, it is providing you, it is like, most often it is predestined, or predestined in the sense, like, we would have decided, or we would have chosen these challenges so that we can overcome them, and that would just take us to another totally a higher level of spiritual progress. So the people who are having a very smooth life, maybe they are in those resting periods, as what they call. So they might be having very smooth lives because of that. Then final case study is an interesting one. It is that of the author himself. So it's very important. This case study was like, when I was reading through, I was like very much attracted by this particular case study, because see, it's not enough if you're a psychiatrist. It's not enough if you're just putting people through hypnosis and going through PLR sessions, making them undergo PLR, providing PLR therapy to your patients. But it is also important that you also need to have validation. Like, and these validations can come in the form of course, dreams, through his own sessions. Like, he himself might have got healed in certain times, and very important past life regressions might have happened to him. So these things will give him that greater faith to carry on the message forward, to talk authentically about it. So if I just quote somebody else's example and say this is how it is, I won't be talking with conviction. I won't be talking with talking so confidently about it. But whereas if I myself have gone through a PLR session, or I have undergone a PLR therapy, so my experience would totally give me that confidence to say, yeah, this is how it is. That level of confidence occurs only when we ourselves can go through such experiences. So Dr. Brian Weiss had his first experience, which he documents, were during his acupressure massage treatment for chronic back and neck pain. So it was conducted in silence, and he went into meditation during this time. So when almost an hour had passed, he had reached a deep state of relaxation, and the therapist was working on his feet. So, and suddenly there was a scene or something which has flashed in front of him. So he was awake but not sleeping, and he was aware of his body, he was aware of what was happening, but then the whole thing played like a movie in his mind. So in this scene, he saw that he was taller, thinner, and had a small pointed beard, and wearing a multicolored robe, and he was standing on the outside of a very large strange building examining the plants. So he knew that it was himself. He was seeing himself in one of his past lives. And this was the past life during the Babylon era. And there were like the garden also was like the hanging garden of Babylon, which is a very famous thing. So he recognized that, and I mean, initially, of course, he didn't know what it was. And another word flashed by, which when he started searching that word ziggurat, he realized that it was all about the Babylon and Assyrian era. So he was in that era. So sometimes these kind of clues in the form of one single word comes so that you can try to, search for it and find out and what it is all about, and then you can, kind of establish that connection. So in this lifetime, he was a priest, a powerful member in the religious hierarchy, and he became aware that, in that particular lifetime, he had a lot of idealism in his youth. There was spirituality, and as he kept growing in his priesthood and his importance in the society, he was even so powerful that he was part of the like the royal family really respected him, and they used to take a lot of advice from him. So instead of using this position to promote spiritual values, brotherhood, and creating peace among his people, he used it for all wrong reasons, and tried to gain more power, more money, as it happens to any person. So there is always a choice. Like, we can choose the path of righteousness, or we can choose to be like those people who love to live in the materialistic world in a materialistic way. So the choice always opens up. And when a great power comes to us, it always comes with great responsibilities. And I think somewhere he abused those responsibilities, and eventually what happened is that he died as an old man, and most of the idealism of his youth was gone. So he lost everything, the power, position, and finally he died. So Dr. Brian Weiss did not connect to this, did not pay much attention to this. So he just thought, okay, fine, it is one of my past life incident, and I have just let go. So then few years later, what happened is that he had his own regression. He was doing a workshop, like how, he had started talking about PLR much, much early in his career. He started getting drawn into this this topic, and finally he started exploring it among few people. Then eventually he started progressing to conducting workshops. So there were 30 therapists who all believed in this PLR topic. So it was a very nice group. So you have, if there are 30 non-believers with you, it is difficult to make them understand. But if there is a group of 30 people who are like-minded, who believe in the same concept, the energy field itself is totally different. It creates a totally different healing atmosphere. So that's when he had another PLR himself. And he had it in the form of a very, very vivid dream. So it was a very distinct dream, and he could easily recall the dream. So in that past life memory, he appeared as a prisoner somewhere in Europe during the Middle Ages. He was held captive, and he saw himself in a dungeon, and he was chained and being tortured, especially for teaching about reincarnation. So at that time, again, the Catholic Church was totally against it, and it used to burn people and torture them like this. if they believed in something which was totally against the principles of church. And this used to happen all over the world. It was not just in those places. So everywhere it has happened. So whenever some people spoke about something new, until it was proved, they were tortured or they were ridiculed, and their concepts were ridiculed. So same thing was happening. And at this point, he realized that, that he was tortured so much that he died at the end of this torture. So when he came out of this dream, he was still in that hypnagogic state. And at the same time, he remembered his previous experience also. So, he's sort of not totally awake, not totally asleep, yet he recollected the previous experience also as a priest. And then he heard a voice, a distinct voice, which said that when you had the chance to teach the truth, you didn't. And then when you didn't have the chance in the second lifetime, you died for a belief when you didn't need to. So in that belief, rather than teaching about reincarnation, he could have taught about love. That's what the voice told, the wise voice. So at that moment, it wasn't the right time to force the issue. And the voice said, this time, get it right. So, I mean, this was such a profound experience. It's a powerful statement. And, it's like, it gave me goosebumps when I read this particular paragraph. It was like, it was in a small capsule, such beautiful message, is given. He understood this incident made him understand his life's purpose. And that's how he started transforming fear into love and wisdom. And he was no longer afraid to teach. See, most often in the traditional psychiatry, nobody will talk about hypnosis. Nobody will talk about PLR sessions. Those are not part of our curriculum. They are not part of our medical teaching at all. So for him, at that point of time, this is like possibly some 40 years ago, he started off. So 40 years ago, if he had to start talking about all this, he would have been tremendously in fear to talk about such things, something totally contradictory, something totally contrary to his beliefs, to the regular teaching. So I think these incidents, or these two, he could connect these two separate incidents or separate PLR dreams. And I think that gave him the confidence to go on. So what is important is that, important point to ponder here is that no matter how much anxious we are, and no matter what the other people believe or what other people think, I think whatever we believe, or these kind of things, I think we should talk more about them. And irrespective of what our positions are, irrespective of what kind of a strict medical, or for some of the doctors here, definitely it is like, it is not acceptable to, no, I wouldn't say acceptable. I think people will give you a second look when you start talking about meditations and hypnosis or PLR therapies. But I think more and more of these topics, if they start slowly getting included into the general regular medical curriculum, I think it will make a lot of difference. And this direct mystical experience is what helps us to intellectualize the concepts. So I think that's also the reason why I feel that, we have to document our studies, we have to publish our studies, because unless we document, unless we keep talking about it, it will not reach the medical fraternity. It has to become a common thing, so that it should start becoming part of the regular medical curriculum. So with this note, thank you so much. Sanjana ji wanted to see a few of my photographs. So this is for you, Sanjana ji. Thank you all. Thank you all for a very patient hearing. Thank you so much.
Chapter narrated in very simple way, but very profound way, covering all the aspects. तो दोस्तों, आपको कुछ पूछना है, कुछ जानना है मिस्टिकल एक्सपीरियंस के रिगार्डिंग, आकाशिक रिकॉर्ड, लाइब्रेरी के रिगार्डिंग, सेकंड केस, थर्ड केस, फोर्थ केस, सभी से हमें एक कुछ खास बातें सीखने को मिल रही है। निर्मल जी, म्यूट करें अपने आप को।
हेलो,
यस,
गुड इवनिंग सर, गुड इवनिंग मैम। आपका सेशन बहुत अच्छा था।
थैंक यू।
वेरी एनलाइटनिंग। एंड आपने जब वैलिडेशंस के बारे में बोला तो देयर इज ए वन लाइन इन दिस वेरी बुक, देयर Brian Weiss has said that human mind is very complex. I have yet to learn the denies and the refusals, that why mind says like this. और मेरी ये जब मैंने ये लाइन पढ़ी, मेरे दिल में एक जैसे खूब अंदर चली गई, और ये इतना बड़ा आदमी होकर वो भी ऐसे बोल रहा है कि आई हैव येट टू लर्न द ह्यूमन माइंड, देयर डिनायल्स एंड द रिफ्यूजल्स। तो ही इज वेरी वेरी डीप मैन। और डॉक्टर साहब, मेरे को अपना एक्सपीरियंस बताना, मैंने एक बार अपना PLR करवाया था, तो मेरे को उसमें मेरे को एक वाटर पॉन्ड सा जैसे नजर आया, और वहां पर उस पॉन्ड में से बड़े सुंदर सुंदर चेहरे निकल के आ रहे हैं, एंड दे आर ऑल फीमेल्स। तो मेरे को बड़ी देर बाद समझ ही नहीं आया ये क्या हुआ, कौन है ये, कौन लेडीज थी। मेरे को देख के बहुत खुश हो रही थी वो, और जैसे कि वो मेरे को छूना चाहती थी। उनके फेसेस ही मेरी तरफ आ रहे हैं और बढ़ते जा रहे हैं, बढ़ते जा रहे हैं, बढ़ते जा रहे हैं। तो मेरे को कुछ नहीं समझ आया। तो फिर मैंने अब जाके मेरे को समझ आया कि वो सारे चेहरे मेरे ही थे, मैं ही थी। और मैंने खुद रिकॉर्ड किया, किसी को भी ये बात नहीं समझ आई। तो फिर उसके बाद मेरे को ये फील हो रहा था कि भाई पता नहीं कितने सेंचुरीज पहले की वो पिक्चर फ्लैश अप हुई है, और उसमें मैंने अपने आप को देखा। मे बी दैट टाइम आई एम श्योर कि आई वाज मरमेड। तो इतनी सारी मरमेड्स, कितने जन्म मैंने उस पानी में उस जगह पर बिताए, आई डोंट नो। जो सारे फेसेस आए थे वो मतलब वो सारे उस लाइफ टाइम के थे। तो एक तो ये मैंने देखा। दूसरा मैंने देखा कि एक चेहरा गोल सा, लाइक दैट सन कम्स इन फ्रंट ऑफ मी, और वो मेरे को बड़ी अच्छी तरह से पहचानता है, और वो मेरे को देख के इतना मेरे को प्यार कर रहा है, महसूस हो रहा है कि भी हाँ, ही इज लविंग मी, नोज मी, ही हैज रिकॉग्नाइज्ड मी। तो मेरे को हैरानी, मैं पहचान ही नहीं पा रही हूँ कौन है। मैं इसी असमंजस में हूँ, ये कौन है, ये कौन है। तो फिर मतलब मेरे को मेरी लाइफ में ये तो हो गया, मतलब पास्ट लाइफ रिग्रेशन हो गई। तो उसके बाद मेरी लाइफ में कोई चेंज नहीं आया। ना इधर हेल्थ वाइज, मैं गई थी उनके पास अपनी टेल बोन की प्रॉब्लम के लिए, बहुत दर्द हो रही थी, बड़ी मुश्किल से गई थी। तो ना मेरी टेल बोन ठीक हुई, ना मेरे फाइनेंशियल स्टेटस में कोई फर्क आया, ना हेल्थ में इम्प्रूवमेंट हुई, ना रिलेशनशिप में फर्क आया।
Maybe sometimes it's not the only solution. वो भी हो सकता है कि like maybe the approach may have to be a different one. And we can't always say that PLR will cure everything. ऐसा भी नहीं है. So I feel, but whatever messages you got or whatever, they will be appropriate for that particular time. That's what I believe. So I have also undergone PLR sessions. So I have undergone twice. So I do feel that, it helps you in a different way. I'm not saying it is mandatory. I'm not saying it's absolutely necessary, and that is not the solution to everything. But I think the messages that you get is appropriate for that particular time or what you need to know. Like in the case of this case study also, like, you know, the guide says don't read the further pages. So why does he say that? He doesn't want the person to know further, because a lot of things sometimes, you know, as you grow as a in the spiritual path, if you keep growing, our future lifetimes keep changing, so it will not be a fixed thing. So I think maybe this is like the session that you underwent is a first beginning, I would say. So maybe with more help, or either like through meditation or through healings, maybe those things will help. Anything else, Ranjanji, you want to add?
डॉक्टर जागृति ने जो लिखा है लास्ट बर्थ कर्मा, इट इज नॉट नेसेसरली ऑलवेज दैट थ्रू पीएलआर सेशन द इमीडिएट पास्ट लाइफ विल ओपन. कोई भी पास्ट लाइफ, पहले का कोई भी पास्ट लाइफ खुल सकता है जहां भी सिग्निफिकेंट कर्मा और उससे जुड़ा हुआ लेसन बाकी है. पास्ट लाइफ में वो मेमोरी, वो इंसिडेंट खुलते हैं जहां पर हमें सीखना है. पीएलआर से एक दरवाजा खुलता है, उसके बाद भी आपको कर्मा सीखना और बैलेंस करना तो रहेगा ही. तो सिर्फ हम पीएलआर सेशन से चले गए उसमें तो कुछ चमत्कार हो जाएगा, ऐसा नहीं है. पीएलआर प्रोसेस में जब हम कर्मा की मिस्ट्री को समझेंगे, आपको जो दिख रहा है वो क्यों दिख रहा है वो समझेंगे, कौन सा लेसन, कौन सा वर्च्यू हमें सीखना है, एम्ब्रेस करना है, वो सीखेंगे, तो फिर बात पूरी होगी. तो सिर्फ पीएलआर सेशन से हम ना करें, चिंतन करने की अधिक जरूरत है. मुझे सीखना क्या है, मुझे करना क्या है. और पीएलआर सेशन के लिए डॉक्टर ब्रायन वाइस का हमने केस स्टडी देखा. वो एक्यूप्रेशर मसाज ले रहे हैं और उसमें उनका पीएलआर खुल गया. इट इज नॉट नेसेसरी कि हमेशा आपको कोई एक्सपर्ट, कोई थेरेपिस्ट और कोई एक्सक्लूसिव सेशन ही चाहिए. अगर आपने बुक पढ़ी है, अगर आपने कंसेप्ट समझा है, अगर आप चिंतन मनन कर रहे हैं, अगर आप ओपन हैं, रिसेप्टिव हैं, तैयार हैं, तो कभी भी खुल सकता है. मेडिटेशन में भी खुल सकता है, ड्रीम में भी खुल सकता है, एक्यूप्रेशर मसाज के दौरान भी खुल सकता है. तो जो लोग मसाज थेरेपी लेते हैं वो उनके लिए
It can also happen during Reiki. Like once it just so happened, I was giving Reiki to my third eye chakra. So that time I had a vivid past life recollection. So it can happen during any time. That's what. इसीलिए हम ये topic बहुत important है. We have to keep an open mind. That's what I feel.
इसी बुक में या अगली बुक में ये बात आएगी. कई सारे डेजा वू एक्सपीरियंस डिस्क्राइब किए जाएंगे. अचानक से कोई पास्ट लाइफ का कोई प्लेस या ऑब्जेक्ट देखने से स्पॉन्टेनियस रिकॉल हो जाते हैं. और ऑथर की केस स्टडी को सुनते हुए मैं भी अपनी केस स्टडी बताऊंगा. कर्नाटक से हैं डॉक्टर चंदना आप. बसवेश्वर को आप अच्छे से जानते होंगे. I was disciple of Bashava in one lifetime.
Oh, okay, nice.
So it just pop up in my conscious mind from the super conscious.
Great.
रोहन जी लिख रहे हैं पावर नैप में भी खुल सकता है. बिल्कुल खुल सकता है. तो पावर नैप लेते रहें. सोनाली जी को कुछ पूछना है या कहना है? यस सोनाली.
यस सर, मुझे ये कन्वर्सेशन ठीक से समझ में नहीं आया. जो ब्रायन वाइस यहाँ पर उनसे बात कर रहे हैं, तो कह रहे हैं, उन्होंने कहा कि जब तुम्हें करना चांस था तब तुमने नहीं किया, अब चांस नहीं था तो तुमने किया. उसके बाद जो लाइन है वो नहीं समझ में आई. यू डाइड फॉर द बिलीव व्हेन यू डिडंट नीड टू. ये कन्वर्सेशन समझ नहीं आ रहा.
डॉक्टर चंदना.
ओके, सो यहाँ दो अलग इंसिडेंट है. पहला इंसिडेंट जहाँ लाइक यू नो ही हैड द चांस टू टॉक अबाउट इट, isn't it? जब वो हाई प्रीस्ट थे तब वो you know he could have told about love, he could have spoken so much because he had the power, authority, सब कुछ था. और सेकंड इंसिडेंट में क्या हुआ है, like he wanted to talk so desperately about it. He wanted to talk about reincarnation at a time when people didn't believe in it. So इतना strong message देना जरूरी नहीं था. He could have, instead of that, in that incident, instance, he could have spoken only about love or something which people could have accepted. He didn't have to die for it. That's what was the means. You have to be wise or to know that when you can go full-fledged and talk about it, and when you should do it slowly, step by step. See, this is what he has done in this lifetime. He has not gone totally against the medical fraternity, totally, उसने ऐसा बात नहीं कहीं भी नहीं किया कि medical thing is a hoax, you don't follow this. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं किया. Now he has learned that balance in this lifetime. The author has learned the balance very beautifully. So he has gone only stepwise, and in that way, he has given a powerful message to the world, to the whole world. Now, if somebody has to talk about PLR sessions, these are the books, they've become Bible or the Bhagavad Gita for PLR sessions. And I have the whole set of books. So that is what is important. It's important not to forcefully talk about a message when the whole audience is not listening to you. What is the point? Anna? And then in that lifetime, he was killed for it. That was not needed. I think that was the message.
राइट बट मैम यहाँ पर उनका काम जो वो कर रहे थे वो पहले ही हो चुका. जैसे लाइफ टाइम खुलने से इनसे तब उन्होंने लर्निंग नहीं ली. वो पहले ही वो सही ट्रैक पर ही थे कि वो जिस तरह से अपने को आगे पुशअप करा. उन्होंने एक बार उन्होंने ये डिसाइड भी किया था, पहले एक कहीं जिक्र आया था कि वो अगर ये ओपन करेंगे या मैनी मास्टर मैनी लाइफ्स के बाद जब उन्होंने फर्स्ट वो अपनी बुक के बारे में लिखना शुरू किया था तो उन्होंने वो एक जगह रुके थे कि क्या मैं ऐसा पब्लिश करूंगा तो कहीं मेडिकल अथॉरिटी मेरे ऊपर ब्लेम ना करे या
Definitely, that fear will be there for all doctors, because if you have to talk about something like that, it's not easy. So he has done it, and this was 40 years back. At least now people are open about it. 40 years back, they would never have, they would have possibly even cancelled his license. Tab wo kya karenge? So he has done it in a stepwise manner. He has not pushed it like a treatment, main treatment. He continued being a psychiatrist. He continued doing his duty the way a psychiatrist has to do. At the same time, in a stepwise manner, he has taken things forward, and he has done it very beautifully. We all agree with that.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
डॉक्टर चंदना, आपको पता होगा यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ वर्जीनिया में डिवीजन ऑफ परसेप्चुअल स्टडीज है, और वहां पे डॉक्टर ब्रूस ग्रेशन फॉर नियर डेथ एक्सपीरियंस और डॉक्टर जिम टकर फॉर पास्ट लाइफ मेमोरीज, इस पे बहुत सिस्टमेटिक रिसर्च कर रहे हैं. दोनों की रिसर्च वर्क मेडिकल जर्नल में आए हुए हैं, बुक्स के रूप में पब्लिश हुई है.
Correct.
बहुत सारे पैनल डिस्कशन सिस्टमेटिक रूप से होते रहते हैं.
Correct.
तो ऐसा प्रयास और यूनिवर्सिटी में भी अगर होने लगे तो फिर डेफिनेटली, और ऐसा कहते हैं ना, जिस आइडिया का टाइम आ गया हो उसे फिर कोई नहीं रोक सकता.
Exactly.
नहीं भी एकेडमिक रूप से हो रहा है, इनफॉर्मल वे में सोसाइटी में जो बुक्स आ रही हैं, पॉपुलर हो रही हैं, लोग करा रहे हैं, सिर्फ डॉक्टर्स के मना करने से भी बहुत ज्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ने वाला. जब ज्यादा लोगों का कॉन्शियसनेस लेवल रेज हो गया और वो इन चीजों को अपनाने लग गए.
That's what once we reach that critical mass consciousness, I think it just फैल जाता है.
तो फैलना ही है.
Yeah.
आपका ये स्वाध्याय भी कुछ अंश निभाएगा फैलाने में.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
तो फोर्थ केस स्टडी से जो हम बातों को याद रखें कि स्पॉन्टेनियस पास्ट लाइफ रिकॉल कभी भी हो सकता है, तो बी ओपन फॉर द पॉसिबिलिटी, और जो भी कुछ दिखे उसको यूं ही जाने ना दें. वैसे बहुत संभावना है कि वो जाएगा नहीं, वो बार बार याद आएगा. जो वैल्यूएबल होता है वो बार बार याद आता है. फिर भी हमें लिखना चाहिए. कुछ मीनिंगफुल, कुछ कभी दिखे, कुछ अनयूजुअल दिखे तो उसे लिख लिया करें. मेडिटेशन में या सोने से पहले हम उसे पूछें तो आपको ज्यादा बिगर पिक्चर खुलता जाएगा. जो थर्ड केस स्टडी है जिसमें ऑपरेशन के दौरान 8 चाइनीज मिस्टिक्स अपीयर होते हैं, वो भी बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग बात है नहीं? और ऐसे कई सारे इंसिडेंट्स रिपोर्टेड हैं.
Definitely.
जो नॉन फिजिकल हमारे हेल्पर्स हैं, फ्रेंड्स हैं. वी आर नॉट अलोन.
Definitely, we are not.
We are surrounded by many non-physical helpers and guides and friends. Depending upon karma, depending upon the need, they help on and off. तो इसीलिए बहुत जगह हम देख रहे हैं कि एंजल्स को या नॉन फिजिकल मास्टर्स को बुलाया जाता है, अगर जोत होती है तो बुला सकते हैं। कोई ऐसा नहीं बुलाना चाहिए, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। अगर जोत महसूस होती है तो हम बुला भी सकते हैं। लाइफ थ्रेटनिंग कंडीशन में वो बिना बुलाए भी इंटरफेयर करते हैं। और डॉक्टर इवेन अलेक्जेंडर की बुक डॉक्टर चंदन आप पढ़िएगा, प्रूफ ऑफ हेवन, मैप ऑफ हेवन के बाद जो थर्ड बुक है लिविंग इन ए माइंडफुल यूनिवर्स, तीनों बुक में उन्होंने अपनी पर्सनल स्टोरी, पहली बुक में तो सिर्फ अपनी पर्सनल स्टोरी है, सेकंड और थर्ड बुक में अपनी पर्सनल स्टोरी के अलावा उन्होंने दूसरे मिस्टिकल एक्सपीरियंस, दूसरों के ऐसे एक्सपीरियंस डॉक्यूमेंट किए हैं। तो ऐसा होता है कि एक बार कोई गायनेकोलॉजिस्ट या कोई सर्जन ऑपरेट कर रहा है और काफी ब्लीडिंग हो गई, वो केस भी क्रिटिकल था, तो पेशेंट वाज ऑलमोस्ट गॉन, लेकिन उस गायनेकोलॉजिस्ट ने या सर्जन ने होप नहीं छोड़ा और उसने अनप्लान्ड वे में जस्ट अपने सारे स्टाफ को और कलीग को बोलते हुए वी विल प्रे, और सबको प्रेयर में, मेडिकल प्रैक्टिस में ये क्वाइट थोड़ा सा अनयूजुअल है, ऐसा जनरली नहीं होता। और एंड समथिंग मैजिकल हैपेंड, नॉन फिजिकल फ्रेंड का इंटरवेंशन हुआ उनके प्रेयर से, जो बाद में पेशेंट ने, सब्जेक्ट ने बताया, और उस पेशेंट की जान बच गई। तो ये डॉक्टर इवेन अलेक्जेंडर ने जब ये स्टोरी जब बाहर आती हैं, अगर हम लास्ट चैप्टर में, कल के चैप्टर में हमने देखा था, डॉक्टर ब्रायन वाइस कह रहे हैं फिजिकल और नॉन फिजिकल की जो बाउंड्री है वो गिरनी चाहिए। हम बहुत नॉन फिजिकल को दूर रखते हैं, उसकी जरूरत नहीं है। हम नॉर्मल ट्रीट करें नॉन फिजिकल को, जरूरत पड़ने पर हमसे हेल्प लें। और जब हम नॉन फिजिकल को पढ़ने में जाएंगे, थियोसॉफिकल सोसाइटी में जाएंगे, तो या और भी जगह पर अलग अलग कैटेगरीज डिवाइडेड हैं। दे आर नेचर स्पिरिट्स, दे आर फेरीज, दे आर एंजल्स, दे आर मास्टर्स जो पहले अर्थ बॉडी में रह चुके हैं, फिर मास्टर जो एसेंड हो चुके हैं, मास्टर जो भी एसेंड नहीं हुए हैं लेकिन सर्विस कर रहे हैं। तो ऐसे अलग अलग कैटेगरीज के हैं, तो जिनको अगर हमें ये पता है कि हमें किस सेक्शन से हेल्प लेनी है, तो फिर हमें हेल्प और जल्दी मिल सकता है। इनविजिबल हेल्पर, CW लीडबीटर की बुक भी है इनविजिबल हेल्पर्स। तो ये ओल्ड इंग्लिश होती है लीडबीटर की, वो 100 साल पुरानी किताब है, लेकिन फिर भी पढ़नी चाहिए। शीतल,
एक मेरा भी केस ऐसा था। मेरे हस्बैंड गायनेक है और मैं आयुर्वेदिक डॉक्टर हूँ, तो मैं साथ में गायनेक का ही काम करती हूँ। तो हमारा 2 हॉस्पिटल है, एक साणंद है और एक अहमदाबाद में है। तो जनरली साणंद में सर्जरी करके हम कभी रुकते नहीं थे, और जो सिस्टर वो सब मॉनिटर करती थी। मगर एक बार और हमने हिस्टेरेक्टोमी प्लान किया था, ऑपरेशन किया था। तो उसमें क्या होता है कि अगर यूट्राइन गई है तो ज्यादा ब्लीडिंग होता है। अब हमेशा हम क्या थोड़ा मॉनिटर करके निकल जाते हैं एवरी टाइम, मगर उस दिन पता नहीं ऐसे ही मुझे इंट्यूशन आया कि मुझे आज रुकना है वहां पे, और मैं वहां पे रुक गई नाइट होल्ड करने के लिए। 2 घंटे के बाद मैंने उसका बीपी मॉनिटर किया तो उसका बीपी डाउन हो रहा था। और इतना एक्यूरेट हम रैंडमली लेते हैं कि नॉर्मल है, मगर पता नहीं वो मेरे को दिमाग में क्लिक किया कि नहीं कुछ गड़बड़ है। फिर से मैंने 10 मिनट के बाद फिर से वो लो जा रहा है, और फिर मैं मेरे हस्बैंड को फोन करके कि भाई इसमें कुछ देखना पड़ेगा, प्रॉब्लम है। फिर हमने अपने ओटी में उसको ओपन किया, देखा कि ये सब है, तो फिर सर्जन को बुला के उसको टाई करना, जो भी प्रोसेस है। मगर वो पेशेंट उस दिन बच गया। अगर मेरे को वो फीलिंग नहीं आता, मैं नहीं रुकती, तो वो सब अब समझ में आता है कि वो सब काम करता है। कुछ चीज के अंदर से आवाज आता है कि आज आपको रुकना है, तो उस दिन वो पेशेंट बच गया था।
Really a wonderful incident. Very, very nice.
हम सभी को अपने इंट्यूशन को सुनना चाहिए, अपने इंट्यूशन को रेस्पेक्ट करना चाहिए। फॉलो योर गट फीलिंग, लिसन योर गट फीलिंग, नेवर इग्नोर देम। गट फीलिंग के बेसिस पर आप जो भी डिसीजन लेंगे, आप 100% पाएंगे कि वो आपको सही दिशा में ले जाते हैं। मिस्टेक से भी मिस्टेक नहीं हो सकता इंट्यूशन फॉलो करते हैं तो हमें ह्यूमैनिटी को ये लेसन, ये बात सीखनी है, फॉलो द इंट्यूशन। सेकंड केस स्टडी में भी बहुत पावरफुल बात आज आई, याद रहा क्या था सेकंड केस स्टडी में हमारे सामने आज? जिनको याद रहा वो चैट में टाइप कीजिए। आकाशिक रिकॉर्ड्स। आकाशिक रिकॉर्ड्स टॉपिक बहुत कम एक्सप्लोर हुआ है। हमारे कर्मा के रिकॉर्ड्स, पास्ट, प्रेजेंट, फ्यूचर सब वहां पर है। अगर हमारे भीतर जजमेंट छूट चुका है तो पास्ट खुलने लगता है, और जब सर्विस का एटीट्यूड आ गया है, कंपैशन पूरी तरह से फ्लावर हो चुका है, तो फ्यूचर भी दिखने लगता है। पास्ट को जानना या फ्यूचर को जानना, नॉन फिजिकल रिलम को समझें तो कोई बहुत ज्यादा बड़ी बात नहीं है, लेकिन हम ह्यूमन माइंड के साथ जीते हैं। मैरी रेस्ट का सेशन याद होगा जिन्होंने अटेंड किया होगा, स्पिरिचुअल डॉक्टर्स फॉर होलिस्टिक हेल्थ पर। मैरी रेस्ट जिसने अपना ब्रेस्ट कैंसर ठीक किया नेचुरल तरीके से, खुद के तरीके से। ह्यूमन माइंड और डिवाइन माइंड में उसने एक बड़ा डिफरेंस सेट किया था। वो वाला सेक्शन उसका बार बार देखना चाहिए। हम ह्यूमन माइंड से जी रहे हैं या डिवाइन माइंड से? डिवाइन माइंड से जीने लग जाएं, आकाशिक रिकॉर्ड्स को एक्सेस करना मुश्किल नहीं है। तो यह बात हमें सीखनी है, जो स्पॉन्टेनियसली हुआ ब्राइन वाइस के सब्जेक्ट के साथ, हमारे साथ इंटेंशनली हो सकता है। तो PLR के अलावा आकाशिक रिकॉर्ड्स इज ए बिग टॉपिक, बिग चैप्टर